How are you today, my fellow conspirator and conspirators? It is, of course, I, your boy, the man, the myth, the beast of Bay Street, the legend himself, Matty Milligan, and this is episode number 42 of the Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Whoa! Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to price your products. This could be useful if you're in e-commerce, if you sell on Amazon, on Shopify, BigCommerce, Volusion, Magento, WooCommerce, ClickFunnels. Wherever you're selling a physical product, this will be very useful for you. If you're selling information products, this will also be useful. It's a little bit different because your fulfillment costs are much lower if you're selling information products. All you really need to pay for is the software and then the original cost of actually making that product, whether it's videos or a PDF file of some sort, or it is audio files, whatever that sort of digital product that you're selling, and with regards to information, then both of these will be useful to help you figure this out. So let's just crack into this right away. All right, so the first thing that I do is when I'm pricing a product, I need to know how much it's going to cost me to actually fulfill everything, right? So I need to figure out when I sell one of that, how much it's actually going to cost me to fulfill that. And I calculate all the line items, which I'll go through right now. So the first thing I would calculate, and again, this could be for e-commerce specifically, probably a lot better for e-commerce than information products, but I will talk about that. With physical products, you need to figure out what your material costs are, right? How much it's going to cost to make each piece, your manufacturing costs. This is also known as cost of goods sold, or COGS as it's commonly called. And one of the things that you need to do is you need to figure out how much it's going to cost to manufacture that product, right? And then on top of that, you need to figure out all of your packaging and fulfillment, right? So maybe there's the product itself, but then you're getting someone else to actually manufacture the packaging to put with that product, if that's foam or cardboard boxing or some sort of plastic wrap. All of that stuff needs to be taken into account as well. And then you need to include the promotional and marketing materials as well. If you're having some sort of inserts made and you're putting those in with the package so that when the customer receives it, they get a discount code, or they get your business card, or they get some sort of sales letter included with that product, then you have to figure out how much it's going to cost us there. Then you have to figure out all your fulfillment costs, right? So your warehousing cost, if you're storing this with something like Amazon FBA, or if you're using Shipwire or ShipStation or Rakuten, or maybe you even have your own third-party logistics company that picks and packs all of your stuff for you, then you need to include the shipping cost as well on that. And then from there, I would take the total price of that, then add 1% as a chargeback rate, and that's worst case. If you have more than 1%, you're in the worry zone, but I would just add 1% because that's the maximum amount. And this is a variable cost in your business. I can go into more about fixed and variable costs in the future if you really want, but this is a variable cost in your business. And then I would also include a 2% refund rate off that total price as well. And then add those to the total price. And then you might want to include other things like if you're paying for ads, for example, add on average how much it costs for you to acquire a customer for, right? And then I would also include, maybe you're doing affiliate marketing, add your affiliate commissions instead, right? Figure out how much that is really going to cost in total. And then once I have that, let's say that total price is $15. Then from there, I'm going to go out and look into the market and look for similar things that are being sold, right? I'm usually going to do some research on Amazon, definitely. I'm going to go on Google and search for that product. I'm going to go on eBay. I'm going to go on Etsy. I'm going to go on Kijiji. I'm going to go on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to go everywhere and find what different people are selling for the product. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge more than absolutely everyone else. And that's what I'm going to do regardless. So let's say, again, that product is $15 and it's like, oh, people are selling this for, I don't know, 20, 25 on Amazon. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to have that. And what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to build an offer around that product, right? This is, again, where you're going to have more cost and fulfillment costs. But if I'm selling a physical product, I usually like to include a couple of information products with that as well. It just gives it way more value, right? When someone buys something, it's like, oh, and you're also going to get like this PDF as well that's going to solve some other problems, because that's something that's by buying this product, you're going to get some other problems as well. So I've included this PDF that's going to solve a few of the problems and make it easier for you to get the solution that this product actually solves for you. So I would include that. I would include maybe a video, for example, with that. And again, it has the information products need to have context with the original product, right? It's an information product. I was talking with a woman earlier today, and she has a fashion brand, but at the same time, she's like, oh, and I also want to do this personal development stuff. And I'm like, they're two different things. Like, and her offer was kind of a mix of both. And I'm like, nah, it really needs to be niche. And for her offer for that I'm coming up with her, it was like, all right, include some information products with your free PDF, or some bonuses with your free PDF, even when people do that. Now, doing information products cost you a lot less because you create that one product and it's just kind of made, and all you really need to do is fulfill it, right? You just need to send people the link to a PDF. You just need to send them put the video modules in your course. And once it's in there, it's done. It's like a one-time cost, and then you have that forever. So that's basically the difference between making information products and making getting your pricing for physical products. So what again I do is, like, let's say that original product I was talking about where everything was $15, and I can see the average price is about $25, maybe $30. And I would go out and create something and probably make it like $50, $60, $70 at that point. And again, include some other information products in that offer. So it's like, hey, you're not getting just this information, or sorry, you're not just getting this like physical product, you're getting this PDF, you're getting these videos, plus you're getting these interviews, plus I have this community you can join for free, plus you're going to be added to my VIP mailing list where I'm going to send you exclusive content, discounts, and offers that aren't usually seen with anyone else. And that right there is a strong offer when you include that. And again, you have to kind of add the little line items. Now, what I like to do is, if I have, again, that $70, I think it's harder to start at a lower price and go high, but it's easier to go from a higher price and then go low. So even if I were to maybe start at that kind of $50, $60, $70 range, I might even go a little bit higher at first, right? I would probably be like, all right, I'm gonna have this at like a $97 product. And then I'm gonna calculate all of those things that are included that I'm gonna show in the offer and make sure that it has at least 10 times the value. If it's $97, I'm gonna make sure it's over $1,000. And I learned this little trick from Frank Kern where if it's $1,000, you put the dollar sign, then you put 1,000.00, right? Because that looks like it's like, oh, it has so much value and it's a longer number, but then when you drop it, it's just $97 with just the dollar sign, the 9, the 7. It's like, oh wow, it has this crazy psychological effect. And I've been reading this book here, Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely, and I read it while I was away and I found it absolutely fascinating. He goes through a lot of the laws of supply and demand, and it's really behavioral economics, and I don't think he won the Nobel Prize for this specifically, but he's done all sorts of work, and obviously he works in cognitive neuroscience as well. And in this book, he just gives all of these examples of the different costs of why people buy and how they perceive things as more expensive and how they see things as more relative to the cost. And he talks a lot about the power of the word free, which I've mentioned in the past as well, but he really talks about in some cases how people pay too much for some things, right? And the weird ways people like to save money. I've seen people where even to save a couple of dollars for something, for gas, for example, it's like, oh, gas is on sale across town, and it's like, it's going to cost you more to drive to that place and get the gas than it is for what you're going to pay in total. So why are you doing that? Like, don't be stingy on saving a couple of cents here and there. Like, just find ways to make more money. Anyways, with pricing your stuff, it's really about, I think, making sure that you're the most expensive in the marketplace, right? There's this classic saying, I think, from Dan Kennedy, where there's no advantage of being the least expensive product, but there is a huge advantage to being the most expensive product. So when your product is in fact more expensive than all the other ones in the marketplace, it really makes you stand out as well, right? And when things have a high price point, people assume quality. So even if you make one sale, you just need to make sure that the product is actually quality and you're fulfilling on the promise that you're making to your customers. So that's really how I would go about kind of pricing my like any sort of product. But you don't really want to make a product again, which is trying kind of what I was talking about before. Like I remember hearing this from Steve Larson, who will be on my podcast in about a month from now, about I think he has this thing where he's like he makes an agreement where he's like with the crowd where he told everyone you can no longer make products. You have to create offers from now on, right? Because products are basically commodities. If I have a product on Amazon and again, I'm charging $25 for that, someone can come in and they can charge $24.99 and then they beat me and it's basically the same product, right? And they can basically just go there, copy my product description and I'm done for. So that's what a lot of a lot of things happen, right? But again, you could create an awesome offer, put it on a Shopify store, put it on a ClickFunnels page, put it on any sort of e-commerce store. And from there, all you really need to worry about is the marketing, right? And basically making sure that you have a really good description that resonates with your customer as well. But again, you need to have that copy that really supports that high price point, right? That really makes it stand out because if you just have again that price and people are like why they want to see the rationale as to why you're charging more than your competitors, right? And when your products have higher prices, again, you're going to have much better profit margins and that will allow you to spend more to actually acquire more customers. And whoever spends the most in the marketplace to acquire a customer wins. So I would recommend pricing your products as much as possible, right? And let's say you price it and people are like, oh, it's too expensive. I would buy it at a few dollars more. If you get that a lot, then that's the point when it's like, okay, it was 97, maybe it didn't work out. Let's drop it down to 77 or 67, something like that, right? Get people to save a little bit. There's a lot of people when I work with them and I create like challenge funnels for them or will create very like beta courses for their master classes. And what we generally do from there is I'm always like, all right, we're going to sell something for like $97 at the beta course. And it's like, all right, cool. And if it doesn't sell at the 97, then we drop it down to 47 and it generally works, right? People, they're like, whatever, it's the beta one, it's the first one. I don't want to spend more than $100 after everything. Because in their mind, they're like, it's 97, I'm probably going to have to spend after taxes over 100. But if it's 47, it's like, it's under $50 at this point, like whatever. And when people see again that it's just a 2-digit number, people don't use up much brain capacity, to be honest, when it's a bigger investment, right? If it's something where it's under $100, like it's a pretty fast yes or no. But if it's a more expensive purchase, right, several $100s, several $1,000s, if it's a house or a car, people are going to take a lot longer to buy. And again, if you're the premium product, that's really ideally what you want to become in your market, right? You want to become that brand that really stands out. And again, that's something where you'll probably need to work with like a really good branding and design expert for the visual aspect to really get it to stand out and making sure that you have very high quality photography and videography and audio quality to support that, right? Because if it looks expensive, like if an ad generally looks expensive, you might see this a lot, or you do see this a lot, for example, with selling fragrances, right? Like eau de toilette or toilet water, I guess is what it's really called. That stuff, the manufacturing cost is virtually nothing, right? There's no way it costs more than 50 cents to $1 to make a little bottle of Chanel No. 5, but it probably sells for, I don't know, a couple $100, maybe even a few $100 per bottle. And again, it's the premium product, right? It's something that stands out. It has that prestige, and when people buy that, it makes them feel like, oh, I have the best status because it's the best product. So when you're pricing your stuff, again, think in mind, be like, you know what, right now I might not be the best, but eventually I will be the best, and I will, once I'm making more and more sales, then I'll invest in getting a really good designer and branding expert to work with me on making all the packaging and all that stuff look best. But I think like you could even start off really doing that as well if you have some money to fork over to make the better packaging. I thought about that a few years ago where I was like looking into things and contacting different distributors and from there it's like I was calculating how much it would cost for things. There's also really good companies. I think there's a company called Sourcify and I've talked with this dude before, and I should definitely have him as a guest on the podcast. I think his name is Nathan. I'll write that down after. And his company, they help you find products as well. There's also this other woman that I want to invite on the podcast. Allison Prince, who's in the Two Comma Club and in the ClickFunnels community, and she's someone who she helped out two of her daughters make over $100,000 in sales. So she's someone as well when I think I should definitely have on the podcast as well. But she also has some tips on finding and sourcing your own products in China and how to get basically the higher quality stuff and how to make sure that the person that you're dealing with, because there's obviously a language barrier, that's something where you need to make sure that your supplier, you guys are on the same page because they do things differently in China. And yeah, you also need to make sure that that warehouse is not doing any sketchy stuff, right? Because it's China. I mean, they are a communist country or they have a communist government, so you need to make sure that there's no human labor bad stuff involved, obviously, right? You need to make sure that the supplier and warehouse is using ethical practices, right? Not hiring anyone and getting people to do sketchy stuff for pennies on the dollar. So when it comes to pricing your products, like, again, make a list of your costs and then make, like, honestly, add like 5, 10, 20 times what it costs you because, and again, look for the prices in your market and then charge a lot more than those and then add some information products to really support your physical products. If it's information products, just add more and more stuff to your offer, as I said before, and make sure that you have many different things, right? Where the total price at the end has 10 times the value of what the customer is ultimately going to buy. And I can definitely talk more about pricing if you want in the future. I probably sourcing items I think would be something I can talk about in the future for sure. I'll write down that idea. And I have some awesome guests coming up on the podcast. I'm currently creating a list of people and contacting them to be on the podcast. And if you have anyone that you know who's a Two Comma Club member that you would like to have me on as a guest, just let me know in the comments. And I'm really concerned because I don't know if I'm doing a good job on this podcast. So what I'd really appreciate is if you left a review for this podcast either on Spotify or on iTunes. It would be greatly appreciated because I'm really not sure how I'm doing, or leave it in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. And that is all for today. And hopefully I was able to give you some options on how to properly price your products so you can maximize your profits and make your business explode. I am your boy, Matty Milligan, and I will see you next time on another episode of The Underground Marketing Conspiracy. Woo!